To me, that's where a lot of marketers go wrong. You know, they want to draw up this Lamborghini plan. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I draw up a 1 month plan. You want to know why? Because I don't know what the hell is going to happen in that month, and neither do you. But the data does. The data is going to tell us what happened. And therefore, instead of you and I thinking about what can or can't work, I don't like being reactive, but there is a certain percentage of this that has to test and react to the data. So once we get the data, that's when I pound. And to be fair, as much as you can put gas on that fire, when it does dial down, sometimes you got to pull it back too. And that's okay. You know, I think people, you know, so many agencies just put people on autopilot. Man, it doesn't, that's not reality. It doesn't work like that. For sure. You've got to run when it's hot, and you've got to know how to pull back when it's not, and recalibrate and figure out something else that's going to grab.
It's not often I get to meet a fellow quote unquote overcomer, battling a 400 plus beacon score and then battling your way to build a business from scratch. So I'm super excited to talk to you. You know, I've done that myself. I used to sleep in a car when I started my first one, and we kind of got into it. But I know one of the things that I had to do specifically is I really had to change and reframe my mindset to be more, abundance is kind of a cheesy word to me, but more of an aggressive possibilities, maybe. Like, how did you shape your mindset to, you know, go from the lower states and now becoming incredibly successful at what you do?
You know, man, first and foremost, I would tell you, I'm still working on that. I don't think that is something that, I don't know if I'll ever master that completely. I think that's always a void. Now, have I come a long ways? Hell yeah. I mean, I've come a long ways, but is it something that, like, you know, I have mastered by any means? No. Is it something that I'm working on still? For sure.
Yeah.
But you know, man, I'm a little more raw and cutting edge. Like, I feel like in today's society, a lot of people are what I would call woo-woo. I'm a little more raw and real, man. So here's my thing. I would tell you, I don't know if I believed in me until I had reason to believe in me. I think that I had to earn that. I think that I had to earn a little bit of success, you know, and a lot of times in success in society, which as I've gotten older and my company's grown, my priorities have changed in life, being married, having kids and everything else, we attach it to money. But I remember growing up in a very blue collar family. And I remember one year my dad made $70,000 and he busted his ass. He worked overtime. And I remember hearing that and going, man, you know, like, if I could just make $70,000, I'll be okay. And then I remember getting to 70 grand and going, dude, like, I have nothing in life, you know? And then it was, hey, how do I make 6 figures? Right. And then it was, man, you know, this isn't it. So maybe it's like 300 and then you get there, and then it was like 7 figures and then you get there. Like, so I don't think that thing like ever ends, but I think that mindset shift is once I don't know when it happened. I don't know if I have this like aha moment, but now this might sound arrogant, but I feel like I can do anything. Anything I want to do, I feel like I can do it because I feel like I've got a lot more to accomplish in my life, but I feel like I've accomplished something. I've done something. I've done more than most have on paper, on just on paper. So now I think you have to prove to yourself, you have to give yourself a reason to believe in you. I don't believe in this shit of just waking up someday. Hopefully I can cuss on your show. Hopefully okay.
We're real here, dude.
Okay, good, man. But I don't believe in this shit that you just like wake up someday and flip the switch and go, I believe in me. I think you have to prove to yourself that you're worth believing in. And that comes down to doing the work and doing the shit that nobody else is willing to do, doing the things that separate you, that to this day, you know, even having the business that I do, and you know, I don't have a whole lot in life like that. I don't have material wise, or I don't desire material wise, but I still, you know, it's a never ending thing.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this, right? Because, you know, we have a lot of entrepreneurs who watch the show. You know, some are in the 5-figure category. Some are just getting started. Some are 6, some are 7. We have a handful of 8 and 9s just because, you know, it's their friends. And it seems to me that there's always a carrot to chase. But I think what I heard you just say, and I would agree with, is that the carrot shouldn't be chased. It's actually what you build along the way. Maybe who you become, right? So
I would agree with that.
What do you find the most value in nowadays? Obviously, since material things aren't, you know, you have all that stuff, right? There's like, where do you find your value, your belief in now?
It's about my team. Like, it sounds cheesy, but you know, I've hired a lot of young people. And I have more women that work for me than men, but to me, it's changing. It's taking a girl and turning into a woman. It's taking a boy and turning into a man. It's building careers. It's watching people come in as, a $60,000-$70,000 entry level employee of mine that's now making multiple six figures. It's watching that. Like, I love, that's like one of the intangible things I think of being an entrepreneur. Like, sometimes, I'm sure you can relate to this. Like, I'm very hard on myself. I can always do more. I want to do more. What can I do? How do I take this to the next step? Sometimes you got to sit back and go through this gratitude thing, right? That's a cheesy word these days. Everybody talks about, it's not cheesy, but it's the catchword, right?
Yeah.
And man, like, when I get to sit back and watch my people grow, that's so fulfilling to me to go, man, when I started this company, I have $15,000 in a 483 credit score. And now I have people that work for me making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And that life that they get to live, like, bosses get upset when people go on vacation. I'm ecstatic. When one of my people on my team goes on vacation, I'm like, man, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Like, have the best damn time, because I feel like I created that. It wasn't just me. Their hard work has earned that position. It's earned that compensation. It's done that. But it's a big fulfilling thing for me. I also think I'm in a shitty industry with a black eye. I think this whole internet marketing, digital marketing.
I get a DM every freaking day trying to,
yeah. So I'm dedicated to being the breath of fresh air in this industry. Being a very black and white dude, telling people how it is. I had 3 calls today. All 3 of those people, they cannot work with me. They don't have enough money. They're not in the right place, where I guarantee you they're going to call another agency unless I helped them, and they're going to go hire them, and they're going to get burnt and be pissed. And that's where this thing happens.
Dude, I've spent over $1 million on bad marketing.
I'm sure.
Or, everybody's like, hey, no, this will work. This ascension funnel is perfect. It's exactly perfect.
Right.
And then, you look back, I've shut out a bunch of cash, get the landing pages built, get the copywriting done, connect all the commerces and the gateways and whatever, turn the funnel on, and crickets.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's tough. That's another thing is, I think that too many people, I live by under promise, over deliver. I think a lot of people are doing the opposite shit to make sales. I don't do that. And I do think there comes a position of power when you're successful where I don't need that account anymore to make payroll.
Yeah.
Like, in the beginning, when we're starting a business, we got to do every damn thing we can to make dollar, to make payroll, to eat. You know what I mean? Like, just to scrape away to get off the ground. But I think with success, you get to a certain point where I don't have to take on any piece of business right now to make my payroll. I could disappear from my company for a year right now, and it would run just fine.
Yeah.
So, having that perspective, and I can't tell you now, since that perspective has changed for me over the last, I'll say, like 7-8 years. It's always just been about doing the right thing. So I hate to say, like, I was scammy in the beginning. I was just trying to grow a damn company, and anything I could help, I would. But, to me, it is.
We also didn't know what you didn't know.
The right thing. That's true. Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I took on so much business I shouldn't have. That was too big for me.
Yeah.
But now I wouldn't do that. Even if it was a huge deal that could make me millions of dollars. If I didn't think I could fulfill it, I wouldn't do it, because I care about my reputation more than a paycheck.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's just about doing the right thing at the end of the day. But yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the things that makes you such a strong leader in this industry, is the fact that you have a servant's heart. But one thing that I think that you've got in spades is one principle that I teach our audience on a regular basis is never, ever suppress your superstars.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that.
I think for a lot of early stage entrepreneurs, they get, they're very emotional. They're very immature in how they're conducting their team business. And they might see, hey, look, this, Sally over here or Johnny over here, they're doing amazing at X, Y, and Z. In many cases, doing it better than the entrepreneur. One of the things that I see you do consistently with your team is you accelerate that person's personal and professional growth, and actually back away from like trying to do that thing, because you recognize the giftedness they have. Bro, and I find that a lot of early stage entrepreneurs don't do that. Is that something you figured out intangibly, or just naturally gravitated towards, or do you have a couple learning lessons?
I would say no. I had to work at this. I had to work at what you just said. I had to work at, because like any other entrepreneur, I'm a control freak.
Yeah,
but control. But if we're being honest, what is control? Control is fear.
Yeah,
that really is. If you're a control freak, that's fear. If you really want to dig deep down into that emotion and how you feel about that, it's the fear of letting go.
Yeah,
right. It's not that you just have some superpower that you love control. It's actually a bad thing. Like you have to enable other people. So, I've had to make a lot of steps, and I know you can relate to this better than I can. You've done bigger things than I have, but man, just enabling people to exactly what you just said, to help you. and putting them in positions of trust and power, and how powerful that is in itself. You know, there's pieces of my business now I don't even see. I haven't seen them in
we hired 3 people I met in the hallway for the first time a week ago. It's like, but yeah, no, I mean, place I could do the undercover billionaire or undercover millionaire thingy. So
I love that. Yeah. No, but I mean, I have specifically in operations, I have pieces of my company that I haven't actually touched or seen in years at this point. But I have people that I trust unconditionally that have been loyal, that have built that up, that I know can handle that load. And I enable them and give them that power and trust every day. And have they made mistakes? Hell yeah, they have. Has it cost me money? Absolutely. Welcome down to the damn business. You know what I mean? As long as we're learning from them, we're good. And
I'm always telling, the audience that there's really only 5 drivers in business, at least for me. Development. So developing your team, your people, your vision, your strategy, all that kind of stuff. Sales. You got to figure out the sales pipeline. What you're selling, who you're selling to, how you're selling it, etc. You got fulfillment, and how you're going to deliver the said product, good, or service with excellence. Then you got the financial side, which a lot of entrepreneurs don't pay attention to. They pay attention to the money coming in, not the money going out. And then you got the raving fan retention. And everything I know about Agile and Co. is you guys have managed to build infrastructure and processes and systems in place that allow you to have freedom as the business owner, the entrepreneur, the creator. And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs won't let go enough to actually focus on that infrastructure side of things to get all the systems and processes and automations and delegation and all those things in place. About how long did it take you to really figure out that each of those silos had to be built and orchestrated?
Well, first of all, I'd say this is just kind of like what I said earlier. This is still a work in progress. I looked my team in the face the other day and said, I've never run a company this big before. I need you all to know, like, I'm going to make some mistakes. Because my company's the biggest it's ever been right now. It's bigger than it was the year before that. The year before that, it's growing every single year. We haven't had a down year ever, not one time. So, and that's the truth. And that might be scary to them. But to me as a leader, I've got to be vulnerable and tell them. So I would say those systems are still, they're always a work in progress, because as we have grown in scale, how we did something 5 years ago, that system might not scale to where we're at right now. But I would say those things I really started becoming, I don't remember where I got this, but it's not like it's uncommon or heard of, but working on your business versus working in your business. So religiously at the end of every week, I take equity of that. How much time in the last 5 days did I spend working on this business compared to in it? Because if I'm not working on it, we're not going to grow. I can't be in it every single day doing all those things you were just talking about. And then another big exercise that's really helped me that I actually do with every single one of my team members quarterly is elevate, delegate. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So there's like, if you can visualize 4 quadrants, almost like a tic-tac-toe, like on the top is things that you're good at and things that you're bad at. And on the side is things that you love to do and things that you hate to do. And you list out every single duty that you do, and they got to go in one of those boxes. So there's some things that you love to do and you're good at. There's some things that you love to do, but you're bad at. There's some things that you're bad at that you love to. So you do this, right? But the quadrant that you want to really focus on are the things that you're bad at and you hate doing. They got to go.
Because they're energy suckers.
They're energy suckers, and you suck at it. And you hate doing it,
which means it can be done better, which means
by
you're
somebody
holding
else.
Your organization back.
So I do this for myself and every single person on my team, and we review that, because if I have things that are eating somebody alive, I need to get it off their desk. So we do this religiously. But I think that, where I'm going with these things that we've kind of implemented and executed, that has helped develop this and develop who my team needs to be and playing them to their strengths and getting the weaknesses away from them. And that includes me. There's a lot of things that I hate, within business. Like money is one of the things I don't hate. I'm very in touch with money and what's going in and out. But I probably pay, I don't know, 30 grand a year between my consultant and CPA just to help me understand those things. Just of what's going in and out every single day, both personally and within the business. So my point is I hired that. Because I'm not great at it.
Well, you can't master everything. I think one of the myths as an entrepreneur is we get ourselves into this mindset that we can master every position and we should be, mastery level excellence in every position. When reality is to your point about the quadrants, like if you identify with what you're missing, like you can actually find it. 100%. Like if you avoid it, you're not going to find it.
Right. And the other thing is there's somebody on your team that suck bucket of things that you suck at and you hate, there's somebody else on the team that has that in the bucket that they love and want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Give it to them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like if you got a diversified team with skill sets, then there's somebody that can pick up that up and will enjoy doing it. So get it to them. You know what I mean? So this is why we do these exercises, and I do it with a one-on-one level with my team. And then I move things around. I match up all these.
Yeah, you're maximizing performance
for sure.
Yeah.
But again, if you don't identify it, you don't know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the other thing too, I was thinking of too, is this for gritty, tenacious entrepreneurs. And to me, I would argue that if you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur, you have to be gritty and tenacious, at least the first 5-10 years of your business, like before you can get all these things in place. Right. But one of the things that I've seen is work ethic will outperform lazy talent every day.
All day.
Like, so let's talk about work ethic and the importance of work ethic, but also the importance of balance. I know you and I hopped on before we hopped on air. You were like, "Hey, look, I'm in family time and I'm down for, X number of weeks or months."
Yeah.
Like work ethic, balance. Like, how do we find work ethic and be gritty and tenacious and not feel like we're going to let our business down if we're not present?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would even take that a step back and say, I don't hire resumes. I hire people.
Yep.
Man, I spend the least amount of time looking at resumes. Dude, I hate resumes. I hate the concept. They're bullshit. They're fluff. They're twisted. Like who the hell sits there and reads an actual resume? Yeah. I've given this away on one other podcast. I'll give it away to you. What I do to hire people. So I put a job description together and post it out to the world just like everybody else. And I intentionally put grammar and spelling errors in that job description. And at the very bottom of it, it says, do not apply for this position through, let's say, Indeed. However, please send your resume to careers@agileandco.com with your favorite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in the title and all the spelling and grammar errors in this job description listed in it. Wow. 97% of people don't follow directions. Those 97% of people, those resumes never see my desk. They're filtered to the trash.
Yeah.
If you can't take 3 minutes to read my job description and spend another 4 to apply the right way, you don't want to work for me. You don't give a shit. This is just a job, not a career. So they're out. So again, I hire people, not paper. And I think that goes into a lot of it. Like I'll take a C player with work ethic, C skills, than A skills that's lazy all day long.
Yeah.
That C player will win at the end of the day because they care about the job. They take pride in what they do, and their skills can be developed. Yeah, it might take them longer to get from point A to B, but I'll take the C player with the work ethic all day long. I don't care about your GPA or your advanced degrees. I have more people. Man, I'm a college dropout. I was on active probation 3 times. I got people working with me, MBAs and master's degrees. I don't give a shit about your degrees. Now, look, if you want to go do it, I'm not a hater of the college system. Like if you want to go do it. I'm just saying I don't hire or not based off of paper.
Yeah.
Who are you as a human being? Are we compatible? And can I grow you? Can I develop you? That's what I care about.
Yeah. And are they hungry to be grown just in general?
Sure.
Yeah. Because I've learned that
willing to grow.
You might have teachable people, but there's no hunger for them to excel, no hunger for them to elevate themselves personally and professionally.
Right.
And for me, those people become managers and probably don't get past that. My directors, my executive leaders, my operational leaders, all of them, I get excited when I walk by and they're reading a new book or listening to a podcast as they're working. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's how I got to where I'm at, right? I had to be gritty, tenacious, and I had to be absorbing materials constantly, nonstop. And I find that that's actually a really, really important feature. To your point with the resumes, one of the things that I do when I write when I write job descriptions is I basically try to word it in such a way that tries to talk them out of the position before they ever apply for it. Like here we work our asses off. Here we grind. Here we, that kind of thing to kind of like, again, we found it as being a good tool because in most of the positions that I need at my businesses, the ones that I own, the vast majority of them require a tenacious spirit to be successful.
Sure.
Right. So if I could talk you out of applying for the job before you ever apply for the job, I know you don't have the tenacious spirit.
For sure. Yeah. No, I love that. It's definitely, it's funny, the interesting approaches that are out there, but we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
We're trying to be as efficient as we can and get to the right people. Right.
Yeah. And, because you're going to spend hours a day in theory in interviews. And, I don't know about you, but I want to interview the top 4. I don't want to interview 40 that aren't going to work.
100%. Yeah. I usually try to get it down to 6. That's what I try to do out of a pool is 6. And then when I interview, I don't ask any interview questions.
Yeah.
I hate Who the hell likes interviews? But they're all situational.
Mm-hmm. And they're already expected too. Like the people on the other side are expecting. Yeah.
I mean, bro, you can just go Google like top 100 interview questions. Like, you know how many people just go take that shit and use it? So I don't do any of that. No, mine is, situational. You go to the family, Christmas party and your uncle gets too drunk and says this and this to you. How do you handle it?
Mm-hmm.
You have client that treats you like this or says this. How do you respond to that? You make this mistake in this moment. It costs this much money. What do you do next? It's nothing. Those are the only questions I ask, period. And honestly, man, 90% of the time, I don't even give a shit what their response is. Mm-hmm. How do they handle it though?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. It's not the actual verbiage, it's the context, right? Yeah. Not the content. So I'm trying to see how they're handling themselves in that situation and how they respond. Because in my business, it can be very demanding. I mean, it's marketing, man. There's bad times. Things go up and down. So how are you going to handle a campaign?
And every client's expecting excellent expectations.
100%.
Regardless of how you set the expectation.
Right. Which is also never realistic. And we try to set up those expectations clearly on the front end, but it still is inevitably going to happen. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to handle that? How do you handle conflicts internally? So I'm really trying to get to the deep root of who this person is way more than how much they know about running a Google Ads campaign.
For sure.
Way more.
For sure. Well, I had to reach out to a mutual friend of ours for fun. And I said, hey, Ben, I'm curious, Ben Newman. I said, hey, dude, quick question for you. I got Chance on tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I could ask him one question that nobody else has asked and that he needs to be asked, what would it be? And surprisingly, he got back to me in like 2 minutes. And here's your question. You ready?
Yeah. I'm scared, but I'm ready.
Chance, you never get seduced by success. You always appear to be attacking the next level. What drives you?
It is completely changing my family trajectory forever. If there was one answer to that, and I've already done it, but where I'm at is not enough.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids are multimillionaires right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they are inevitably, just with my life insurance alone. If my company fails, as long as I can pay those damn premiums, that I've changed their lives forever. Right. Yeah. I put in tens of thousands of dollars every month into investment accounts. I went to my finance guy who I actually know through Ben Newman, Claudio Gambin. If you don't know him, you should, man. He has completely changed my life and how to look at finances from a entrepreneur's perspective, not just some damn life insurance investment guy, but somebody who understands taxes, insurance, everything to do with
estate
money.
Planning, all of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And before an entrepreneur, like he just had me buy a house last week. He was at my lake house and he was just like, dude, you need to go do this. And I just went and bought a house for tax reasons, but just things like that. But anyway, I'm not going to get down the road with him, but it is about changing my family trajectory forever. I grew up in a very low income family. I grew up in a 500 square foot house. I slept in the basement. It was cinder block foundation. We couldn't afford heat. It was 50 degrees in the winter. It was sweatpants, hoodie, covers to sleep. And look, man, everybody's had it worse. You've had it worse. Okay. So I don't like to tell a sob story, but when I look at my kids' lives right now and the lives that they live, and yes, I do worry about them being spoiled and not having the grit and the things we've talked about to me that make a good human being and a good person of society. So I do worry about those things, but my wife and I talk about them very religiously. So I think we're doing the best we can as parents to keep them in touch. But when I look at the life that they're growing up in, and the life that they're going to have moving forward and their kids' lives, that is like the one thing that will never let me settle, because I know what it's like to be at rock bottom and I know what that feels like. And like, even as I'm saying this, I can almost feel it in my throat. Like it almost makes me emotional. Like I'll never let go of that ever, because if it wasn't for that, I would not be where I'm at. I had to hit that point in life to respect the stages. Yes. So, and I can't shake that feeling and I don't want to shake it. Like that shit I just started to feel in my throat. I don't ever want to lose that. And I won't, man. I'm almost 41 years old. Like it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, and I've been, quote unquote successful for a long time now. So, but yeah, man, it is my kids. It is completely changing my family trajectory that has never had any kind of money. I mean, you could take the net worth of people that have passed away and I make as much money as a month as they died with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I look at things like that and I'm like, I'm going to change this shit forever. Like my kids, my grandkids, great grandkids are going to go. Chance Weber was the one that came into this family, and he was the one. Like we talk about Ed Milet. Have you ever heard him talk about the one? Like, I am the
many
one.
times.
Dude, it fires me up. Like, but
we did his book launch at my my event center. In fact, Andy popped over too for that.
Okay, did you?
And we had a back in the green room. We have a walkway that leads up to behind the LED walls to get on stage and stuff. And I had a sticker there for our events, and then Ed saw it and commented on it because it says, "Be the one to inspire the one to change the many."
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? So I totally. There's being the one is a big deal. I also find that, and I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to piggyback off of kind of what we just talked about a little bit in a question form, because at least it was my experience. My experience is once I had changed me and quote unquote my family tree, I found a deep hunger to help change other people. So in many respects, I tried to become the mentor that I always needed or wanted. Do you find yourself in that same place?
Oh, bro, like that just hit my soul. I do it constantly. I give away my time for free that I don't have to give away for free just to help people.
Yeah.
Because it's so fulfilling, because I know what it's like. You know, like you're talking about, up and coming entrepreneurs listen to this, and those people, man, you know how much empathy I have for them and like where they're at. And like I know I can help them. Even if I just give them 15 minutes, I know I can make an impact. I can tell them something, you know, that can help them. And I do it constantly. But yes, I did not have good structure in my life ever on most levels. So to be able to be that guy. Yeah. And it also really comes down to like my kids knowing what I know, the level of intellect that I have compared to, how I was raised, knowing the things that I know about life that I can teach them that nobody ever taught me, like being able to make that impact, dude, that's the powerful stuff.
Yeah.
People see money and cars and jets, and who gives a shit? Like, man, when I can teach my kid how to control emotions in a situation that I had to learn on my own, but now I know how to do this and can walk through man, that's impactful stuff. Employees too, those types of things. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I always find that, the more, at least for me, the more successful on paper I've become, the more empathetic and considerate about those that I used to be, kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Kind of working through. In fact, one of the things I actually wrote down as I was preparing is there's no such thing as fake it till you make it. Your credibility will always come from your consistency.
Yeah.
Getting up and just doing the consistent thing day in and day out, even though it doesn't look like it's maybe paying off in the moment. Talk to me a little about your consistency approach. How do you consistently go after it, even though you don't really necessarily need to go after it anymore?
Losing's not an option. It's just that simple. Like I will never lose. I might take some losses, but I'm not going to lose.
Yeah.
So to me, it's that focus. And again, I think it comes back to, what is the, to answer the question that Ben asked, it's that coming back to that thing of why am I doing this? Because look, I want to quit a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I have shitty ass days, week, months, just like you and everybody else does. It's at a high level. Like people just see the fancy shit. This stuff is hard, right?
Yeah.
Like it is hard. Andy Frisilla taught me something a long time ago, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he said something along the lines of, the problems never, ever go away in business. They never go away, but they do grow in magnitude. And I've been going through a lot of that over the last couple of years. Like the problems, like the things that I used to look at as problems before, I'm like, dude, I would do anything to get that problem back now. You know what I mean? Because they're just so much bigger now. But to answer your question and come back to it, for me, the biggest thing is coming back to, as Ben Newman would say, the burn. We're just here name dropping everybody. But that is my thing. Like, what am I doing for my family? Did I show up for them today? Like, did I put in a good effort today? I'll share something with you. I drank this last weekend. I don't drink a ton. I drank too much. And man, I was not me yesterday. Like I was still, and I was so mad at myself last night. I still showed up to work. I still did what I needed. I still did everything I needed to do. I ran every meeting. It's not like I didn't show up.
Why were you mad at yourself? Out of curiosity.
Because I wasn't the best me. My effort was 60%, not even not 90, not let alone 100. I wasn't me. Yep. I didn't eat right. I drank. And again, I enjoy having drinks and I enjoy eating ice cream and having a damn piece of pizza just like anybody else. I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things, but I went too far and I did it for 2 days. and it beat me down for 2 days. And one of those days was a day where I needed to be there. And when I laid my head down in bed that on Monday, yesterday, I literally was like, I let my family down. I let my team down. I was really pissed at myself because I knew better. And it's not like I didn't show up. I still showed up, but I wasn't the best that I should have been. And sure, I can get a little reward and star on my chart for being there, but that's bullshit. Like, I shouldn't have been in that place.
Yeah.
So
how'd you reconcile that after the fact? You have, at least for me, like, if I know that I screw up, right. And no one's perfect, right?
Yeah.
Screw up with your family, screw up with your team, screw up in general.
Sure.
One of my personal standards is I have to reconcile. Yep. Like, I have to go back to whomever and say, I totally screwed the pooch on this. I owe you an apology. And then, it's sincere.
Yeah.
So what kind of approach do you have? Do you have something similar?
So, 100%. But with this situation, I didn't let anybody down other than myself, So for me, it was, what do I need to do differently?
Yeah.
Like, how did I handle that social situation? And again, I'm not trying to paint some picture like I went on some rampage and ended up in the hospital, like, puking all over myself. It was too much in a short amount of time. And I wasn't functioning on all cylinders again when I needed to be. So I had to reconcile that with myself. And what are you going to do?
But I guess the reconciliation piece with self is like, how do you prevent, like, so, all right. So here's the reason I'm asking. I find that a lot of entrepreneurs, especially regardless of whatever type of mistake that they make, will beat themselves senseless with one mistake rather than identifying it and then, kind of addressing it and then kind of moving forward.
Yeah.
How did you prevent the guilt and shame from setting in from a mistake that you felt like you made?
I believe in having a little guilt and shame. Again, to me, I think a lot of people get a little too woo-woo for me. I needed to feel that guilt and shame. Now, laying in it and dreading in it and carrying it on, that's where the problem comes into play. But last night, when I felt that way, I deserved that. In my mind, I screwed up. I wasn't the best I needed to be. I didn't show up for my team and my family the way I needed to.
Yeah.
And I needed to get better. So in my mind, from that point, I go back and figure out how I'm going to do things differently next time. And it's done. I woke up today and I thought about it this morning over a cup of coffee, flipped the switch. I'm moving on. I'm not doing that anymore. It's over. So to me, you've got to know where to draw the line in the sand. And I agree with you. I think entrepreneurs, we're very hard on ourselves because we're accustomed to that pressure. Like, the pressure never ends. You know what I mean? Different kinds of pressure, but it never ends. And I think that we're hard on ourselves because we're used to feeling that consistently. But for me, it's having that awareness. I always talk about awareness is a superpower. If you can have awareness in anything in life, your marriage, any type of relationship, parenting, in business, I don't care what it is. I have to have the awareness to understand I screwed up, turning the page. And I started to go down that road this morning, still beating myself up. And that was it. And honestly, until I just told you this story, I hadn't thought about it again. And I won't after this either. I'll let it go. But it's having the awareness to have the look, man, we all have a couple voices inside of our head. You got the bitch voice that's the negative, putting you down, telling you what you could do better, talking down to yourself. You need to lose weight. You need to do this. You need to perform better. And then you got the voice that's your badass, right?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta get the badass. I gotta bury the bitch, you know? And I literally have this conversation in my head when I go through things like this and try to process them.
Yeah, dude, loving the conversation. I'm gonna go ahead and pivot to marketing for a second.
Okay.
Because one of the biggest mistakes that I know I've made, and I assume other entrepreneurs make, is we go all in on a whatever. And we end up losing a bunch of money, because for a variety of different reasons. As a marketer, as someone who's incredibly successful in this space, how do you know when to advise your clients to go all in, or to kind of go ahead and let's scale this versus let's turn this off?
It's got to be proven. It's that simple. So I do not believe in taking on a client and going all in. There's no such thing. So I talk about validating the pilot. Okay. Marketing is testing at the end of the day. Okay. So I got a client that works closely with Tony Robbins. I'll give you an example. He sent me a text yesterday. He said, "Hey dude, we ran $2,500 in ads this week. I did $150,000 in sales." And I was like, "Why are you texting me this?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "You need to get my team on the phone right now, and you need to go spend 50 grand immediately. You have something that's hot. It's validated. It's working. You have to go." because every campaign in marketing, I don't give a shit what it is or what channel. I don't care if it's TV commercials, billboards, Google ads, Facebook ads. I don't care. There is a window. It is going to reach its finish line and the performance is going to start to decline. Okay. So when it's hot, you've got to go. Okay. And you also have to know when to pull the plug and stop when it's not. So for me, like when I take on a client, it's not like, hey, let's just go all out and do all these things at once. It's let's test this. Let's test this. Let's test this. And once we find your rhythm and where we're driving the leads, or if it's e-com, we're driving the sales, whatever the case might be, then we put gas on that fire. So to me, that's where a lot of marketers go wrong. You know, they want to draw up this Lamborghini plan. I don't believe in that. I draw up a 1 month plan. You want to know why? Because I don't know what the hell is going to happen in that month, and neither do you. But the data does. The data is going to tell us what happened. And therefore, instead of you and I thinking about what can or can't work, I don't like being reactive, but there is a certain percentage of this that has to test and react to the data. So once we get the data, that's when I pound. And to be fair, as much as you can put gas on that fire, when it does dial down, sometimes you got to pull it back too. And that's okay. You know, I think people, you know, so many agencies just put people on autopilot. Man, it doesn't, that's not reality. It doesn't work like that. For sure. You've got to run when it's hot, and you've got to know how to pull back when it's not, and recalibrate and figure out something else that's going to grab. So it goes into just in general to me being a good agency versus a bad one. You know, like, do you actually care? You know, I get a hold of Google Ads accounts where people make, you know, 100 moves in a year. My team will make 300 moves in the first 30 days. Like, do you care? And are you actually running this thing the right way and doing your job to the highest level or not? And those are the things that, you know, I think separate the great ones from everybody else.
Well, I mean, a reputation is nothing more than your integrity tested over time.
Sure.
Right.
100%.
So if you have a business like yours, and I know you have a servant's heart, right? I mean, this is why you've been so successful, and the ability to be honest with folks. I know it's like a major core value for you. I would dare say that those two things combined have created a superpower of building trust in rapid fashion.
Sure.
How would you coach the entrepreneurs and business owners out there in their own businesses being able to build trust with a new client base or customer in, you know, light speed compared to what they're at right now? I mean, kind of what would you say to build that trust factor?
It's so simple, man. It's this simple. Do the right thing. Like, if you really want to dumb it down, like, it's just doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, just do the right thing. It's treat people as you want to be treated. We've all heard this shit, but in all honesty, man, that it really is that simple. You know, it's like we talked about when I was in my early ages of the business. I would take anything on because I was just trying to grow. Looking back on that, man, I wish I would have been who I am now then. Because I had a lot of campaigns that needed 10 grand a month and I took them on at 3,000. It didn't work and they fired me. Where if I would have just said, hey, you're trying to do a $10,000 a month job with 3 grand, please save up some money, do more grassroots efforts, and get back to me. I can't tell you how many of those deals have come back to me over the years. Countless. But back then I just needed the $3,000 job. So I took it. I wasn't doing the right thing, right? I was trying to grow my business instead of doing the right thing for my client. And again, like, do I regret that? No, because I've learned from it. And was I like ripping people off? No. But in the same respect, I think that if you could look at it and just simply do the right thing for people, that is what builds trust. It really is what builds trust. I can't tell you, man, like, I've seen people that I have talked to that I've had that exact situation with literally go into business groups that I'm in or partnered with or whatever and say, hey guys, I just got to share a story. I just talked to Chance Weber and he actually wouldn't let me hire him. Because he said I didn't have enough money and we were trying to do something that wasn't going to work. And I can't tell you how much that meant to me because I would have wasted this money. And then, you know, all of a sudden I got a bunch of leads from a guy just singing your song just by doing the right thing.
So, and to that point, you know, before we hopped on, I was like, dude, I know we run in a lot of similar circles in different circles at different times. And it's not unusual for universes to collide. I was so convinced that you and I had already met before at one of these other, you know, masterminds or other events or whatever. I was like, dude, have we met somewhere? And I realized it was because your name comes up a lot and it's never been negative. I mean, it's always been people saying he treats me right. He doesn't sell me crap I don't need, you know. that is worth more money than you can earn in a year, to have other people talking positively about you in the room when you're not there.
Yeah.
And I think that entrepreneurs greatly underestimate the power of reputation, because reputation compounds efforts and resources. A reputation done well can make it bigger.
And it's endless, right?
Yeah.
Like your reputation doesn't come and go.
Yeah.
It's here forever. Like if you're in business, as long as you're in business, your reputation is with you, good or bad, right?
Yeah.
So it's endless. There's not a timestamp on your reputation.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Well, one of the things that I find that entrepreneurs also mess up, and again, this is all stuff that I've screwed up and learned the hard way, that I do now, is to play. Part of doing the right thing is playing the long game. It's right.
For sure.
What I mean by that is, let's say I have a customer service issue, and I know that my team dropped the ball. And the right thing to do is to give them a discount, give them all their money back, a refund or whatever. But I know it's going to cost me money. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's money I don't necessarily, I'm thinking early days, money I don't necessarily have, right? I've always found it more valuable, going back to that, do the right thing, to refund, discount, or whatever. In other words, make amends for the mistake. Every time we've ever done that, that's turned into 7 figures over the course of the next 3 to 5 years. Every single time.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's awesome. No, 100 out of 100 times you have to do that. Yeah. And I didn't used to. I had a business partner in my early days that all he wanted to do was sue and fight and all this. I'm like, dude, no, this isn't. Yeah. Needless to say, a very ugly buyout got him out very early, and things. Our lives be aligned with the right beliefs. Yes, our lives have went in separate directions since then. Not to anybody's surprise, but either way, yeah, man, 100 out of 100 times. Like you have to. It doesn't matter how bad it hurts. Again, what's right is what's right. Mm-hmm. Would you want to get your money back? Yeah,
I mean, that's treat people how you want to be treated, right?
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing. And man, even I appreciate you saying that. You've heard that about me, always my name in a good light. Because look, we get fired. We're a marketing agency. Mm-hmm. Like we have campaigns that don't perform.
But you can also get fired well.
You can, and that's a big thing for me. Is nobody will ever tell me after they quote unquote fire us that my team sucked, that they weren't responsive, that they didn't do everything that they could. Mm-hmm. It didn't perform. Yeah. And that does happen. I can live with that. There is not a marketing agency on earth that doesn't get fired and doesn't have campaigns that don't perform. It is just simply the reality and the nature of the business.
Well, and what works today may not work a week from now.
That's right. But what I would have a really hard time with is if, when I hear things about other agencies, like they never talked to me, they weren't responsive, they didn't come up with ideas, they didn't try to help. Well, they suck. Yeah, you can't say that about my team. Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that being the world that I'm in, because as long as we're giving our best foot forward and my team is doing what they need to do and supporting these accounts to the best of their ability, sometimes they're not going to perform, and it sucks and it pisses me off, and I take them personally and I try to make them right, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. But that's part of the game, and that's just the nature of the business that I'm in. Mm-hmm. I used to take those things very hard, and I've learned over time, like this is just going to be part of it. Yeah.
Well, and I think you're alluding to a great point, which is over time you stop attaching your emotional worth, so to speak, to the performance of various things. One of the things that I know we both share as a value is we both leave it on the field. Like,
have to.
We're going to do business and whatever, and you're going to experience joy and concern when you work with us, regardless of whether or not we kill it for you or whatever. And I think that's an important point. Before we get to the last question, how can everybody find out more about you and kind of connect with you?
I mean, the best way to find me is on Instagram. That's where I'm usually that's the most relevant social media platform that I'm on. It's Chance B Weber is my handle. It's Chance with an S, B as in boy, Weber with 1 B. Man, I get tired of saying that, but that's what it is. That's probably the best place. That's
I'm spelling Scoggins all the time.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah, no, but I mean, I do a lot of keynote speaking. So, sometimes after those things, I'm sure you know how it is. Like I'll have a couple hundred DMs in there. It might take me a little while to get back to it, but at the end of the day, that's usually a great place. Facebook Messenger, I check sometimes, or just, my company website, which is agileandco.com. Those are the easiest ways to find me. In some way, shape, or form, either me or somebody on my team is going to get a hold of that. And we do respond quickly if, within reason.
I love it. Well, all right. So here's my final question for today. And we have to stay connected because I've enjoyed this. Is there ever a time to give up or quit?
Man, if I Man, that is such a deep question. My immediate reaction, my mind goes straight into business. And I feel like if I ever thought that quitting or giving up was an option, I would have never made it, because there are still times right now where I'm like, you know what, man, I can sell this thing for tens of millions of dollars and just be done.
Yeah.
I could be 41 and just go live life.
Yeah.
I won't do it. I'm not wired that way. I'd be bored in 7 days. I'd be like, dude, what am I doing?
It only takes me a few hours.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way I could do it. Like, I'd go to a beach somewhere and in a few days I'd be like, dude, I need my company back now. Like, I can't do this. So, when my mind goes to business, it's no, like there is never a time, because I think a second that you have that mindset, you're already setting yourself up that that's going to happen, or it could happen. And you can't do that. Are there other things in life, man? You think about marriages and I mean, all the different, pieces of life. Like, I don't know how you say no to everything, but I don't think that I function that way.
Yeah.
I don't ever think about things like that. I mean, when I do something, I get obsessed with it and I don't ever stop. So, but it's a tough question. I do think that there are some times in life where it's, I don't know if it's giving up, but sometimes you got to cut your losses and start over with something new. And if you want to call that giving up, then maybe that is. But I mean, dude, just look at the entrepreneur space. How many entrepreneurs failed at 1 or 2 or 3 businesses? Well, they had to quote unquote,
the vast majority of them.
Right. I've been very fortunate. Like day one, this is the first company. It's the only company I've ever had. Well, now I have real estate companies and whatever else, but like, this is my baby, like I've never failed, but there's so many of them. Like you said, most of them, well, if they would have never given up, they would have never got to the thing that they're killing and doing it now. So again, I think it's a tough question. I think it's all how you want to look at it and frame it.
So is it really giving up, or is it really pivoting?
I think it's pivoting. I think that's a much better word. It is pivoting. I like that word way, way more than giving up or quitting, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough question, but in my mind, just the way I'm wired, I immediately go to no.
Yeah.
Like maybe pivot. I like that word better.
So it's never a time to give up, but there might be a time to pivot.
For sure. I mean, look, my home business, I've pivoted a couple times within it, of our main core services and how we function and how we handle things. Like, we've had pivots. We've always been a quote unquote digital marketing agency, but it doesn't mean there haven't been pivots within that company that we needed to do at certain points in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's a tough question.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom, man. I can't wait to get you back on and get you on the stage when we do our next event as well.
I would love that, man. Thank you so much for having me. I've appreciated this too.
All right. Take it easy.
Take care.
I hope you liked that video. And if you did, make sure you check out this next video right here.
I think that there are far too many organizations, they talk aspirationally, but they talk about it as if they're already doing it. And I think really connecting with people is about 2 things. It is about cutting through the noise and being unique, but it's also about building trust while you do that.